I can't think of a moment that defined me as a photographer more than this story I'm gonna tell you. A story that happened about 10 years ago when I was first learning photography. So a little backstory on me, I went to film school in Chicago learning how to produce films. And when I got a camera, my first camera in freshman year, it was like a Canon Rebel T3i or something like that. I saw that you could flip a switch and go back from video to photo. And casually, I just started taking pictures of my friends or do street photography, and it was fun. It was just a hobby to me. But every time that I shot, I always felt like I could have done better. And I kind of had this like drive to improve my photography. My friends liked my photos, but I always felt like they just weren't good enough. And I just really wanted to understand what I was doing. I felt like I was kind of just like button mashing when you're playing a video game for the first time as a little kid and you don't know what you're doing. I wanted to know how to get good shots. And so I decided, well, maybe I should take photography as a minor. And so I joined the photography program and I went into the most basic beginner photography class, and I loved it. Every week, the teacher would give us assignments to go out in the world and take photos of different things. Maybe we're focusing on shadows, maybe we're focusing on objects, and we would come back and present our work to the class. And I was so excited for this course. I mean, I know I was very heavy into my whole film studies and everything, but I was always looking forward to this photography class. On the last day of the class, the teacher stood up and was telling us about all the different classes that we could take next now that we had completed the intro class, stuff about like lighting and working with fashion or actually working with models and all these different things that I wanted to be a part of so bad. I remember the teacher walking up to my desk. She saw that I was already kind of looking up the courses, and I was kind of telling her which one I wanted to take next. And she looked at me and she said, I've seen the work that you've been making throughout the semester, and if you're making this kind of work on your own, you should drop out of the program. And oh, I wish you could see my face in that moment. I could not understand what she had just said and why she had just said that. I was like, but I want to learn more. Like, I still feel like I don't really know anything and I want to continue learning. And she said something that I'll never forget. She said, don't let school ruin you. At the time, I didn't really understand still what she meant by that, but I knew that I could trust her. And so very reluctantly, I decided to drop out of the photography course and continue just learning on my own time. It wasn't until years later when her words finally really clicked for me. Maybe fast forward 5 years, I had graduated from art school. I was freelancing with both photo and video. I was making really good money supporting myself through art. I was shooting all these exciting projects with so many different people and doing art shows and even doing some workshops at certain points, and honestly became the artist that I wanted to be. And I was so confident in myself and so excited to have figured out what I wanted to do with my life. And one day I was sitting at this coffee shop that I never go to, and I looked up and I saw my teacher from 5 years ago. And instinctively, my body just like got up and I went straight to her. I went right up to her and I said, I don't know if you remember me, but I took your intro to photography class like so many years ago, and you told me to drop out, and now I'm a full-time artist and I'm shooting all these things. And I blurted all this out, but I ended it with just saying, thank you so much. It was like the most beautiful full circle moment I've ever had in my life. And she kind of looked at me and she smiled and she was like, I'm not surprised. And when I think back on her words when she said, don't let school ruin you, in one sentence, she was basically telling me that I needed to listen to my own voice as an artist, and that the course would have turned me into a different artist, different from where I was naturally leaning toward. And it probably would have taught me to do things in a way that was different from the way I wanted to do things. And knowing myself, I'm a slow learner and it takes me a long time to get a lot of things. And I would have very much followed the course to the T and probably popped out a very different photographer. And yes, there were a lot of things in the course that would have taught me to do things that would have helped me in my journey. Being a slow learner, it took me a long time to figure out certain lighting techniques or working with models and all these different things that come with being a photographer, a portrait photographer. And I definitely would have benefited from it. But I do really think that she saved my career by telling me something so honest. She was a teacher in an institution. You're supposed to be leading students in the course, but instead she gave me the realest advice anybody's ever given me. And I want you guys to know that I'm not saying that going to school for photography is worthless. I'm not saying that. I loved art school. I enjoyed it so much. I know there's a lot of debate on, do you need to go to school for film or photography, or can you just do it on your own? There's no right way to become an artist, but there are a million ways that you can learn, whether that's online or whether that's with a teacher one-on-one, or whether you just go to school for it. You just got to do what's best for you. And it's funny now because now I have students of my own. I never tried to teach people in a way to be the photographer that I am. They may want to study under me because they like what I'm doing, but I always start my courses by really understanding how that photographer sees the world and kind of catering to that. I can help you learn how to expose an image or give you tips on gear or composition or all these different things, but I'm only gonna go as far to give you the tools for you to create the way you wanna create. So that's my story of when my teacher told me to drop out. And I hope you got something out of that. So thank you for watching. Stick around, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.